So a little bit over, or around, I should say, 125 years ago, Coca-Cola was doing the math on its sales. I believe by that point it had already abandoned the cocaine content. It was just cola at that point. But once you name something cocaine cola, how do you ever walk back from that? You know what I mean? It's too good of a name. So they noticed something. People bought Coca-Cola in the summer. A little bit in the fall, a little bit in spring, not in the winter. People didn't think of it as a winter drink. So the Coca-Cola advertisers were like, well, wouldn't it be great if we could somehow trick people or convince people or talk people or coax or whatever, brainwash people into drinking Coca-Cola in the winter too. So here's what Coca-Cola advertisers came up with. They thought, what if we somehow worked Coca-Cola into Christmas? Now, I know what you're thinking, Christmas is such a big deal. Not back then. Back then, Easter was the big deal. Christmas was important. People would go do Mass to commemorate Christ's birth, but everybody's bored. The real interesting thing is to be killed, executed, and then come back 2 days later. That's fascinating, which is why people had focused on Easter. So what the Coca-Cola advertisers did was, they found a saint who was about to be decanonized, Santa Claus. The Catholic Church was like, he hasn't performed a miracle in a while, let's unemploy him. They grabbed him, they merged him with the story of Saint Nick, and then somebody got inspired. And the inspiration was to merge him with Kris Kringle. Kris Kringle was a Danish thief whose job in the day was a chimney sweep. He could pop his shoulders out and he could fit down a chimney. He would rob your house and then work his way back up, but you'd have a clean chimney. And they merged this together. But they then took St. Nicholas out. He was usually portrayed as a young man, skinny young man in green and brown clothing. They stuck him in Coca-Cola colors, red and white. They even decided to give him some pink in his skin to keep the Coca-Cola colors going. So they made him an old man so he could have white hair. And then they stuck him on the bottle. That's why periodically you'll see Santa Claus on a Coca-Cola bottle or a Coca-Cola can around Christmas time, because they made him up and they transformed Christmas. So instead of Christmas being an important event but not an especially emotional event, an especially involved event necessarily, I mean, there were nice traditions around it, stockings and maybe a Christmas tree, they turned it into this thing where all of a sudden this mythical being who drinks a lot of Coca-Cola is bringing you presents. I guess that's how he stays up so late, because think about how many hours it would take to bring presents to everybody. And in the process now, the average Christian in the United States at least thinks Christmas is the important Christian holiday. And it's forced other religions to think about what holiday they could promote during that time period. Like Hanukkah. Hanukkah was never especially important. I mean, it's important, but not like, you wouldn't evolve like a whole bunch of time and energy and effort around it. But then, right, if you're Jewish and you're like looking at your kids going, we wish we had a Christmas tree, you need something to compete with this.
We're going live, baby.
No. We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. What's going on, guys? Happy Black Friday. Keep Your Bish is out now on paperback and hardcover. And while, yes, I do want you to buy it, we are going to be talking about perhaps not buying a bunch of other junk you and your family don't need, and avoid going into debt this holiday season. We're going to talk a lot about consumerism and marketing today and why you're conditioned to spend money on this kind of stuff. Kind of like the intro video pointed out, Christmas, as we know it today, is largely a psyop that Coca-Cola invented. And the original meaning has pretty much all but vanished. So let's break out of the matrix the big corporations have put us in. We need to change our mindsets about it. And before we get into it, though, if you're new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. So let's talk about the truth about Black Friday. Most men think that Black Friday is about deals, and it kind of is, but it's really about conditioning. The entire day is engineered to trigger impulse and override reason. Okay. And the reason why it's called Black Friday, I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard this years ago. My ex-wife and I used to go to a church in Lemon Grove, California. Her cousin's husband was the minister there, so we would go there. And he would always give really good sermons. And one of the things that he talked about, and I assume he researched this, he was pretty good about that sort of thing, was that the reason why it's called Black Friday is because it's the one day a year that a lot of companies finally go into the black. A lot of companies are operating at a loss all year long. And then on Black Friday, they offer all these magnificent deals. Their sales actually bring them into the red or into the black and out of the red. And that's why they call it Black Friday. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, geez, think about it. Black Friday, how long has it been going on? I don't remember Black Friday being that big of a deal like when I was a young kid, but it's like over the years, it's gotten absolutely insane. People getting into fist fights and stuff at Walmart over stupid TVs and crap like that. Like, but the whole thing is to trigger impulse and override reason. I mean, there's people that they're so conditioned to this that they probably have been waiting in line since, 11 o'clock at night in a parking lot somewhere, waiting for those deals to open up, first thing in the morning, as soon as the store opens, and they go rushing in. It's crazy. It's absolute mental conditioning. Guys, by the way, if you're new to the channel, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell, okay? I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail, even if it's a Black Friday, okay? Now, consumer culture relies on emotional reactions. So stores aren't really selling products, they're selling dopamine. And if you respond emotionally, they win. They win, okay? And this is one of the things that I learned in sales. Now, God, if you guys read my first book and tune into the podcast for a long time, you know that after the Navy, my first job was as a security guard, but right after that, for a small stint, I went and got into door-to-door office supply sales, and there was a lot of different things involved with that, but a lot of it was evoking emotion. But it wasn't really until I started working with my coach last year. I hired a business coach around this time last year, and I was working with them pretty extensively. And one of the things that I learned is that people buy emotionally and then justify it after the fact, logically or rationally. It's pretty fascinating. So almost every type of marketing, every type of sales, interaction or whatever, it's designed to evoke an emotional response from you, okay, of some kind. And so a lot of the stuff that they're doing on Black Friday is evoking your fear of loss, right? Like this product, it's 50% off right now, right? 50% off right now. If you don't get it today, you're never going to get it again, right? And so you're like, gosh, I better get it today. And so you impulse buy, right? But that's them spiking your emotions. It's very, very common tactic. Now, what a lot of companies will do is sometimes like their normal price will be whatever the sales price is on Black Friday, and they'll slowly mark it up over time. So like they'll have a Black Friday deal where it's the real price, but then the rest of the year they mark it up unnecessarily so that when Black Friday hits, you're like, oh, it's a deal, but it's really not been a deal at all. That's the normal price. And there's a lot of people out there that they're just on mental autopilot. I talk about this a lot in Psychology Paradigm, but most spending, it's not conscious at all. It's habit mixed with social pressure. You know what I mean? Like if especially women are really terrible about this, right? But if all your lady friends are like, oh, it's Black Friday, it's all this kind of stuff, then your friends are pressuring you to do it. You've got all of this, psyops, social messaging from commercials and like big fancy ads and 50% off and all this kind of stuff. It ends up being a habit. And that's exactly how paradigms operate in a daily life. Okay. Like take sales out of it. Most of what you're doing on a daily basis is habit based. You're doing it without any conscious thought. 95% of what you're doing on a daily basis, you're doing without any conscious thought. You're just operating on programming that's been in your subconscious mind for sometimes decades, right? So what we're trying to do today is just sort of bring this stuff to your awareness. I saw some of the comments in there. We'll get to it here in a little bit, but like not all Black Friday deals are a bad idea, especially if it's something that you've been needing for a long time, and you're just waiting for the price to be more reasonable. Like sometimes it can be a good thing, but that's you logically planning for it, right? It's not you impulse buying because you walked in the store expecting to spend $50. You end up walking out spending $500, right? So today we're just trying to bring some of this stuff to our awareness just so that we can make better buying decisions, okay? By the way, when you look back at your past holidays, what's one purchase that made you realize the whole thing is designed to drain your wallet? Let me know in the chat or in the comments if you guys are watching the replay, or if you guys are listening on Spotify, drop comments. Okay. There's most of my listeners are on Spotify or Apple, and very few people leave comments on audio. And I guess that's probably because they're driving or going to the gym or whatever. They don't have time to stop and comment or whatever, but do that. I think it helps in the algorithm. Okay. Now we also have the holiday pressure narrative, right? The holiday tells men that they must buy affection, buy approval, buy family unity. And this is a paradigm created for profit. Like I showed at the very opening video. I don't know who that college professor is, but there's a lot of videos of him going around. I think that video came out, I think last year, maybe a couple of years ago. And I saved it because that was such a great lecture to talk about how the holidays create a pressure, but that holiday pressure was created by a corporation to sell more soft drink. And we've just been conditioned as an entire nation and sometimes multiple countries by this. And it's all about, creating this narrative of family and connection. Whereas like, this is why Thanksgiving has become my favorite holiday as an adult and as a red pill aware man, right? Because Thanksgiving is like Christmas, if you think about it, is really just Thanksgiving with presents. In fact, for years when I was a kid, we would eat a turkey dinner at Thanksgiving and at Christmas. My parents would make a turkey dinner for Christmas as well. It wasn't until like, I think, a year or two ago, I told my parents, I was like, can we have prime rib or something? Because Nurse Chick made me a prime rib. And I was like, this is amazing. Why don't we do this more? Why do we have turkey all the goddamn time? Like, turkey is okay, but it's not that great if you think about it. Chicken is a far better bird to eat than a turkey, man. I'll tell you what. But the belief that more gifts equal more love. Okay, this is also something that a lot of people believe. This belief was installed when we were young. It was never chosen. It was absorbed before we even knew what money was. Think of the love languages, right? Now, I'll tell you what, love languages are bullshit. Okay, I talk about this quite a bit on the podcast. Love languages are bullshit. There's been actual studies done to show that the love languages have no bearing on fixing relationships. They're nice to do. All 5 of them are nice things to do from the beginning and you continue doing that through your relationship, like it's nice to give those things and receive those things. Like everyone loves those things. Okay. But once attraction's gone, it ends up being a covert contract using that shit to try to get your wife, your girlfriend to start, wanting to bang you and stuff again. Right. But one thing I will tell guys, okay, if you are on a date, even if like you don't believe in love languages, it's bullshit. If she brings it up on a date, okay, and she asks you what your love languages are, and you can say, "Oh, my love languages are going to Pound Town," and that's it. Right? Pound Town is my love language. What's your love language, right? And she's like, "Oh, my love languages are gift giving," and drop her right there. Acts of service and gift giving. If those are her fucking love languages, you drop that bitch right there. She's just gonna fucking use your ass for your money and your time and shit like that. She's gonna have you fucking helping your sister move. You don't need to deal with all that nonsense. Okay. By the way, guys, I'm super excited because Keep Your Bitch is now live on Amazon. You can get it in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Right now, your relationship might feel solid. She is warm, she's affectionate, she treats you well. And you think you finally figured it out. But if you look back over your life, how many times did things feel the same right before she pulled the plug? No warning, no big fight. Just one day she said she was done and you were left replaying conversations trying to figure out what you missed. Most men never see it coming, not because they're clueless, but because attraction fades quietly. She doesn't announce it. She simply responds to how you show up. And if you don't know how to keep attraction alive over the long term, you can be the most loyal man on earth and still get hit with the same ending you thought you had outgrown. The pattern repeats unless you understand why it happens. That is why I wrote Keep Your Bitch. It's for men who want to keep a good relationship strong, not fix a broken one. It teaches you how to stay grounded, consistent, confident, and attractive in a way she continues to respond to year after year. Whether you're in something new or you're in your second or third marriage and failure is not an option, this book gives you the structure to make sure you never get blindsided again. If you want to keep what you have and never repeat past mistakes, the book is available now on Amazon. Pick it up today. Indeed. We got a bunch of guys in the chat here. What do we got going on? We got a lot of guys in the chat because everyone has the day off today, right? Brother John's in the house. He says, good morning, gentlemen and lady. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Brother Omega with a $1.99 super chat. He says, making mindful purchases is alpha by Paul's book. That's damn true. Hold on. Please tell me that I've got the audio up on this.
Respect
yes.
the cock and tame the cunt.
That's what we do here. That's what we do here. John says, one way to not spend money on Black Friday is to hang out here and listen to Paul tell us how to not spend money on Black Friday. That's right. And then Omega says, I admit I'm shopping Black Friday deals on Amazon, but it's for items that benefit my goals, but still thinking on them before hitting a checkout. That's actually a good thing. So Omega, if you guys, I talk about Omega a lot, right? He's like a fucking legend in the wolf pack. He's on this tear to lose a bunch of weight. He's already lost a shitload of weight. He's cured himself of type 2 diabetes. He's been listening to the audiobooks on repeat, and he's going to be doing that for the next 6 months. And one of the things that he's shopping for is exercise equipment to further his goals. And so he was looking for an under the desk, cycle thing so he can work out while he's listening to audiobooks and fucking coding and shit all day. I'm just a multitasking son of a bitch, man. Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, good morning, gentlemen. Thank God it's Friday. And Nurse Chick, she always gets this.
I'm so naughty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna come.
Yep.
That pussy must be ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous, guys. I can vouch for that. Eric Von Erich says, good morning. And John says, I'd order your book there, Paul, but you haven't given us the link for the signed copies. And then Omega says, I think we're getting that link next week there, John. And that's true. Because I ordered the author's copies already for the Wolfpack brothers that wanted autographed ones. And And Amazon says those should arrive next week. So as soon as I got those in, I'll DM you guys on Telegram with the link so you guys can grab those, okay? And CW's in the house. He says, what's good, gents and Nurse Chick? Black Friday is overrated. It's easy for me not to spend money on this day when at work. Besides, it makes me wonder what gems will Paul preach today. Yeah. I gotta keep you guys on your toes. Let's see here. Erkin says, by the way, St. Nicholas was born, lived, and died in today's Turkey soils. Okay. I did not know that. And Dar Fitness is in the house. He says, happy Black Friday. That intro piece was enlightening. Yeah, I saved that from last year. I was like, dude, this is gold. This is a goddamn good speech. That guy, if you find his stuff, I don't even know what his name is, but he sometimes pops up on my timeline. And his stuff, all of his lectures are just super enlightening. You know, I think he's a history teacher or something. And let's see here. Darwin is, I miss the people fighting for $2 towels at Walmart when I worked retail as a youngster. $2 towels. Give me the bitch. Let's see here. This is why. So he says this is why tracking price changes history on big ticket items is important too. Yeah, if you can, it's smart. Because see, that's logical buying, right? If you're like, okay, they're this price now. I gotta save up anyway because it's a big purchase. Let me just keep an eye on it, like once a month. Go see if the price has changed, and you just sort of you can mentally track that sometimes, or if it's really fluctuating a lot, you're like, okay, but best time to buy this is on this date. Got it. And let's see here. Last Black Friday, I went out shopping was back in 2016. It was a fear of missing out at GameStop for some collectibles. And then that day, only bundled deals on video game consoles. Yeah. Omega, it's really important to buy stuff that's important, like GameStop items and shit. That's very important stuff. That's what we're talking about. It helps us achieve our goals. Let's see here. Hold on. I saw one from Erkin that was, this is the one I want to get to. Erkin says, now it's time to write a book, Get a Bitch. Well, that was this book. Everything I wish I knew was when I was 18 will help you get a bitch, Erkin. I was going to write a fourth book in the Red Pill Guide series, and it was going to be called Get Your Bitch. Get a Bitch or Get Your Bitch. And then I was like, you know what? I've already talked about it and everything I wish I knew when I was 18. And it's going to get to a point where people are like, does Paul ever fucking write about anything else? And so I was like, no, this is good. That'll complete the Red Pill Guide series. Keep Your Bitch is going to be the last one in that series. But the next book is going to be called Dick Her Down Right, and that's going to be coming out next summer. I'm going to start writing that in January. But I have the outline for that already. That's going to be a good book. You guys are going to love that. Okay, now let's get back on topic here. So we want to talk about frame because it's Frame Friday, right? So we want to have the mental frame during the holidays. We need to set it so that we're deciding what matters before you walk into any store. Okay. So let's say you wanted to spend some money on some books to, further your studies and intersexual dynamics or whatever it is that you want to learn. Maybe you want to level up and get a degree in something or whatever. Like that would be a good purchase to help move you forward. You know what I mean? Maybe spending $1,000 on a World of Warcraft set. Do you really need that shit? Let's really try to think about things we need and not things that just, we want, right? Go into GameStop. I'm busting your balls here, but you want to really decide on what matters before you walk into any store. And this is actually helpful in day-to-day shopping, right? If you go to the grocery store and go grocery shopping for your, maybe your weekly grocery run, like make a list of what you need. One of the things that I've consistently done since the divorce, here's the thing. When my ex-wife would go grocery shopping, she would go to the grocery store and spend $400 fucking dollars every time she'd go to the goddamn grocery store. Right. And because she was always going to, make all this different stuff, and she wanted all these ingredients, and she wanted all this stuff. And she would basically go there without a plan and just impulse buy shit, right? Go up and down every aisle and just grab stuff that looked good. She was ended up spending $400. When I got divorced and we separated, and I moved into my first place by myself, I was like, I'm making a list. Like, what do I need? And typically what I'll do for I'll buy like some bread and some sandwich meat. And that is all you need for bread, sandwich meat, some cheese, maybe some condiments like mustard or whatever. Right. And like, that's all you need all week long for fucking lunches. I don't really eat a lot of breakfast. And then otherwise it's like, I'm planning for dinners and there's 7 days. Okay. Like, what am I going to eat this day, and this day? Right. And then I would go and try to spend less than $200 on a grocery run on a week. Right. And if it was when it was before I met Nurse Chick, if it was just me that week and it wasn't my kids, man, I was spending less than $100 sometimes on meals, because it was so much easier to do that than it was to just walk through a store and just go, oh, that looks good. That looks good. And definitely don't bring your fucking kids. You bring your fucking kids and they are the best salesmen in the world. Dad, look at this cereal. What do you think about this cereal? Right. They're like Vanna Whiting, the fucking sugary ass cereal. Like, Nurse Chick, she's really smart about this, because she has a half of a baseball team of kids of her own. And she's like, no, I go online and do my shopping. And have it delivered to the house so that I don't bring the kids along, so they're not doing all that kind of crap. She's smart about that stuff. And so make a list. Okay. If you're like, Omega's looking for holiday deals for things that are going to further his goals and stuff like that, make that list, and then don't and budget for it, and don't step outside that. And you'll be less susceptible to all these, impulse buying, gotcha marketing type tools, like 50% off, with the fucking star in the background and shit. You'll be less likely if you set the frame from the beginning that I'm only going to buy what I need. Right. And so we have this internal versus external frame battle. So an internal frame means you decide what the holidays mean. And then an external frame means the world tells you what to buy and how to feel. Okay. So Coca-Cola creating this character of Santa Claus as we know him today, with the, the red and white suit. There's a reason why he wears red and white. It's because it's Coke colors, right? And that is external programming setting the frame. Okay. But if you set the frame of, hey, we're not going to spend a lot for this holiday, like we'll put a tree up and, we'll get together and maybe exchange 1 or 2 gifts, and keep it simple and make it about a family event. Like, and I'm not telling you have to do this. All right. Like, if you love like the extravaganza of it all, most guys don't give a shit. I find I saw this video on TikTok the other day, and I tagged Nurse Chick in it, because Nurse Chick and I have had this conversation for years now, right? Where it's like, if Nurse Chick wasn't here and like my daughter didn't show up for Christmas or whatever, I wouldn't even put a fucking tree up. I wouldn't decorate the house at all. Like I don't need it. I don't need it at all. It's a burden to me to pull it all out, decorate it all, and then put it all fucking away at the end of the season. Like, I fucking hate it, right? In fact, the most I'll do, because when my daughter was here, when she was, before she left for college and stuff like that, she wanted lights all in the house. So I was like, all right, I'll go get a projector. So I went and got one of those projector lights that you plug in, you point it at the house, and you're done, right? Like, that's as much as I'm willing to do. So what Nurse Chick will do, because she likes it, she loves getting up in the morning and having the Christmas tree on and sitting with her coffee and, doing what Nurse Chick does. And she loves it. She loves the feeling of the season and all, which is great, and I love that she puts up the tree for me, because I'm not fucking doing it. So what she'll do is she'll like conspire with my daughter. She'll text my daughter and say, hey, meet me at your dad's house, and we're going to put up all the Christmas shit, right? Because she knows that I'm not going to fucking do it. But that's just the internal external frame battle, right? So I'm like, whatever, if you want to put the tree up, that's fine, but that's my frame. I'm not going to do it. You're welcome to do it, but I'm not doing it, right? So you got to set that for yourself, though. Like, what's important to you? And some dudes, they love Christmas. They're like Buddy the Elf from fucking Elf, right? They're like, oh, it's fucking Christmas shit. Like, to me, like, ever since I became an adult, I'm just like, it's such a burden. It's such a burden, and it's such a strain on the wallet that I'm just like, I'm out of it. I'm so checked out of it. You know what I mean? And so like, it pisses me off when I start seeing stores like Walmart and Target and stuff like start putting out all the Christmas shit at the end of August. I'm like, what are you fucking doing? Can we at least eat a goddamn turkey first? Can we get the turkey out of the fucking oven first? Like, Jesus Christ. And so the stores like that are actually pushing people, further into the year to start getting ready for Christmas. And you got all these like crazy Christmas moms out there that start decorating their house as soon as fucking summer's over. You know what I mean? It's like, it's insane, but it's social programming, right? By the way, I see we got a super chat here. If you guys enjoy these episodes and you get value out of them, do consider sending a super chat. I'm still demonetized on Facebook until Christmas Eve, so that helps support the show. Darfin has sent a $5 super chat. My man's gonna get this one here.
I was just gonna say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
Yes, he definitely fucks. And then let's see here. We've got Brother John's also sent a $5 super chat. Paul equals the Grinch. and for that outburst, sir, you're gonna get this one. You're gonna get this one here. Hold on. Ah, damn it. What's going on? Why is this popping up? I'm trying to push this button. There we go.
You're weak as shit and call yourself an alpha. Like, get fucked.
Yes, get fucked, John. Just messing around. Anyway, Brother Omega says, I was going to buy some new ornaments and decorations for my place, and then I realized spend a chunk of money to have this stuff out for a few weeks, not worth it. Yeah, and then you got to put it away. And who are you putting it up for? Right? I mean, like you're taking a break from banging all these 304s, right? So it's just you and your dog. Like your dog doesn't give a fuck about a Christmas tree. You know what I mean? And then I got cats, and my cats were pretty good last year, but like the 2 years before that, the cats were trying to climb the fucking tree and shit. It's fucking annoying, man. All right. Let's talk about emotional regulation during spending decisions. Okay. So when you can't regulate your emotions, you'll spend to relieve that tension, right? It'll build up in you. You're like, oh, I want it so bad. Oh, I want it so bad. Ah, fuck it. Here's a credit card. Right. This is one of the things that Dave Ramsey talks about when it comes to, if you ever read the book Total Money Makeover, which is a life-changing book, I highly recommend it, especially if you have a lot of debt and like you're a guy that lives paycheck to paycheck and you're terrible with money. Read Total Money Makeover. It'll change your world. I use Dave Ramsey's formula and Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18 and the Everyone Can Be Rich chapter, but I highly recommend that book. And I talk about it constantly in that book to get people to read that book. Right. But one of the things that he talks about is getting rid of credit cards, because what credit cards tend to do is they sort of allow you to emotionally buy without thinking about future consequences. It's just like an instant gratification type thing. And if you break that addiction and you're like, you know what, I want that, but I'm not willing to go into debt for it. So I will sock money away and pay for it with cash. You'll get out of debt faster and you'll actually have more money down the road because you won't be impulse buying. But credit cards are designed to get you to impulse buy, right? And then when you finance your purchase with a credit card, you actually end up paying more than you would if you paid with cash because you got to pay interest now, right? You got to pay it back with interest. So now it's even more expensive, you see. But that credit card, it just gives you that instant dopamine rush, right? So if you can practice some emotional regulation, which is all a part of holding frame, okay, it'll control that spending and allow you to process it better, right? It'll allow you to go, yes, I want that. Do I want to go into debt for this? No, no, right? That's you controlling your emotions, right? You'll still have them. You'll still have the impulse to buy, but you'll just stop yourself and that's what we're doing today, right? We're building awareness. You'll be more aware of it so that you're less likely to do that sort of thing. Okay. So here's an example. You walk into a store for one thing, you walk out with 10 things. Okay. That's not you making this responsible decision, that's your lack of frame and emotional control and impulse buying. Okay. And so there's a lot of companies design things this way. Marketing is designed this way. That's where when I first learned about this, when I was doing door-to-door office supply sales, they call it rehashing, where once you make a purchase too, once you pull out that credit card, it's easier for you to buy more shit now. Like mentally, you're in a like a mental fog where you're just willing to buy everything now. Okay. This is why, so when we were doing door-to-door off supply sales, let's say what we would always go in there for is usually to sell them on our app, like our outstanding prices on ink cartridges, right? Hey, check out we're beating Office Depot, we're beating Staples, like we have the best prices on ink cartridges. And so once someone decided, yeah, I'll buy some ink cartridges, you'd be like, oh, how are you doing on paper? Are you doing all right on paper? Oh yeah, we could use some more paper. Throw that on the list, right? And like next thing you know, you're taking what would have been a $50 purchase and you turn it into a $400 purchase. And as a salesman, I'm making a 25% commission, so that's $100 right there. Like that's not bad, not bad for a young kid, you know. And so that's designed. We do it in sales, we do it in marketing. If you go to buy a product and you get a little pop-up that says, hey, now that you're willing to buy this, you are sure you want to add this? You want to add this to cart? You'll see it on Amazon. You'll see it on Walmart. You'll see it on any kind of website. That little pop-up, it's an upsell. Now, one thing I learned studying Russell Brunson's book, because I have to do this too, guys. This is how I make a living is, selling books and courses and all that kind of stuff. So I have to use this type of stuff. And I'm pulling the curtain back and you're seeing the wizard behind the curtain here. But one of the reasons why we do that, if we add an upsell, is so that it offsets the advertising cost. Okay, this is one thing I learned from Russell Brunson, because he was when he first started making money online, he was selling a DVD teaching people how to make potato guns. Okay, I don't know if you guys know who Russell Brunson is. If you guys ever need to sell online anything, like Dar Fitness is in the house, right? He's a physical trainer or a physical coach or fitness coach or whatever. He does teaches guys how to lose weight with the ketogenic diet and fitness. If he wanted to sell more programs, I would highly recommend to you, brother, to read Russell Brunson's 3 books. He's got Traffic Secrets, Expert Secrets, and then .com Secrets. Those are the 3 books. Read those things on repeat. Just listen to it on audio or whatever. Repeat for the next 6 months. Okay, it's something John MLD taught me. John MLD told me this like 2 years ago, and I didn't do that until this year. But it'll change your world. Well, one of the things that Russell Brunson learned when he was selling potato guns, and he was using Google Ads to send people to his DVDs, was that all of a sudden Google did what they called the Google slap, right? Where they changed the algorithm to push out smaller advertisers, and they make it too expensive for smaller advertisers to compete. And so he wasn't making any more profits and he had to turn off his ads. Well, his friend was making a shitload of money selling similar priced products. It wasn't the same type of product, but similar priced products. And he was still using Google Ads. And he goes, how are you doing that? How are you doing it profitably? Like their cost is too much. And he goes, oh, I added this upsell option. And that, he goes, every 3 customers will buy the upsell. And that offsets the advertising costs, right? And so it's basically a rehash where you've already pulled out that credit card. So now psychologically, it's easier for you to buy the next thing. As soon as you pull out that credit card, it's easier for you to buy the next thing. And if you look in the supermarkets, what do they have around the check stands? They have candy bars. They have little, earbuds. They have all these little items all around the check stand, because when you're there and you're ready to check out, you're ready to buy. What's one more thing? What's one more thing? It's all psychology designed to get you to spend more in the store. Okay. That's I'm just telling you guys how it is. Okay. This is how sales works. By the way, I I don't typically do podcasts like this, right? Because I typically talk about relationships and stuff like that. But this type of like in-depth stuff on side topics and like marketing stuff, especially if you're in business and you need to learn this kind of stuff, or you want to have a business someday, some of the stuff I talk about when we do private pod classes in the Wolf Pack. Okay. Like we will do, I'll ask the guys, hey, what do you guys want a pod class on? And guys will come up with like random stuff. We've done, I did a whole thing on making money and investments and all that kind of stuff months ago on starting your own business, all that kind of stuff. We did cryptocurrency. Next month, brother Dar from Dar Fitness, he's going to give us a clinic on the keto diet and fitness, and that's going to be on the 6th. And if you haven't joined the Wolf Pack yet, I think it's time to run with the wolves, brother. Bear Club? Not anymore.
Wolf Pack, you fix what's broken. You lead like a man again. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just flame. Cold bed, broken home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in steel, not heaven. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
Too sweet, baby. Too sweet. Yes, definitely get in the pack, guys. I was going to say something more, but we're almost up to 70 guys in the pack now. It's fucking awesome. We're getting a lot of new guys in there, and a lot of guys are getting a lot of value. I don't know if you guys saw it on social media. I posted, 2 of the guys in the pack wrote some really nice stuff about how the pack has helped them. And so I screenshotted it. I kept their names out of it, and I like crossed out names and stuff like that. But I posted that shit on social media because we're changing lives in the pack, guys. We're changing lives in there. During the holidays, we often have a lot of family pressure, don't we? You know, a lot of men overspend because they fear disappointing their kids or upsetting their wife or girlfriend. And this is really just an emotional trigger. It's not really a reasoned decision to make. You know, you're afraid like, oh, if I don't buy my wife 25 gifts, she's going to be pissed at me, right? This is where you have to have mental frame. You have to have good, strong frame, and you got to learn effective, assertive communication. You know, stuff that I talk about in Keep Your Bitch and, you know, and fucking all my books so far, I think. But I talk about this kind of stuff in Keep Your Bitch. I definitely talk about it and Get Her to Fuck You Again. But like, you got to learn stuff like broken record, negative assertion, all that kind of stuff, so that when you're explaining yourself to, well, you're not explaining yourself, but when you're telling your wife that you're like, hey, we're not spending a whole lot of money this Christmas. You know, we'll buy each of the kids like, you know, one gift each. Otherwise, like, let's make it more about family time or whatever. And she's like, oh, but I want to just like, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. And just broken record that shit. Okay. Like, you don't have to fight about it. You don't have to argue about it, and keep your cool and just be like, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not going to debt. Right. Just don't worry about the family pressure. Okay. And it's really hard. It's really hard when guys first start doing this stuff. Cause you know, a lot of the stuff to the assertive language comes from the book. When I say no, I feel guilty. So when you're telling your family, no, I don't want to do this, or no, we're not going to do this, like, you feel guilty about it because you've set this expectation probably for years that you're going to overspend, you know? Do I have it in the notes here? I don't. Okay. So one thing I'll tell you, one thing that, and I mentioned it on Wednesday's podcast, my late aunt, I think she felt a lot of family pressure to make sure that kids always had this great, big, fantastical Christmas. And so what she would do was every Christmas would go and take out a personal loan at the bank and buy gifts for everybody, a big fancy Christmas, and literally go into debt every year just so that the kids would have this magnificent Christmas. So what did she ended up teaching her kids? It wasn't that, hey, it was, hey, Christmas is all about a shitload of presents and consumerism. Sure, she taught them that too, but she also taught them all how to be shitty with money. And I know specifically her son, the oldest one, he is terrible with fucking money. He is always in fucking debt, all that kind of stuff. And it's because that's the conditioning, right? She used to do that kind of stuff. Having pre-agreed boundaries, right? So if you're setting spending boundaries early, that and communicate them with confidence, those outcomes will eventually protect your home. Okay, that's all a part of setting the tone and leading the relationship. Okay, just saying, hey, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be, and say it with confidence. Okay, hey, we don't need to spend a lot of money, right? I've been doing this with Nurse Chick since we've been dating. Like we spend money, but it's like I basically told her that I'm like, I'd much rather spend money on experiences and memories than spend a bunch of money on a bunch of shit that we don't need. And it's worked out great. Just setting that tone from the beginning. You know what I mean? Sure, we'll occasionally we'll get gifts and stuff for each other usually, but they're usually just very small gifts, or they're, fun things to do, like, sex couple games. We got this card game for Christmas one year where it was like you pull it out and it was like all this sexual shit. It was good times. Good times. Oh, man. By the way, guys, follow me on social media. I'm on most of the good platforms except for X. Fuck those guys. Let's see here. So how to guide your woman without force. Okay. So when you hold a steady frame, she follows your calm certainty instead of the panic of the holiday culture. So you need to lead her to the same conclusion. All right. You need to get her on board. And you basically do this by holding the frame, using assertive language, and just telling her, hey, this is how it's going to be. This is how it's going to be. Right. Now, I'll tell you this. Nurse Chick and I were talking about this the other day. And I mentioned to her casually that the older I get, the more I see this as a consumer trap, this one big consumer fucking trap of a holiday. And it's one of the reasons that Thanksgiving has become my favorite holiday as an adult, right? Because it's less about buying a bunch of shit and it's about getting together with family and having a meal, And Nurse Chick, she, without any prompting, she just suggested that we not spend money on gifts this year and save it for our trip this coming up April to Vegas for WrestleMania. We got WrestleMania tickets earlier this year for Vegas and next year. And Nurse Chick brought it up, but that's how you lead that interaction. You know what I mean? You just say, hey, this is where I'm at. And I don't want to spend a lot of money and I'm not going to. And so, but here's the one thing too, you guys need to do this too, right? Because sometimes other people are conditioned. They're let's say your wife or your girlfriend, she's conditioned to buy a bunch of stuff. And if you've, given her an allowance for that sort of thing, and she buys you something, let her, right? Let other people buy you stuff, but don't feel obligated to buy them something in return. This is something that I used to piss me off in the office before I learned all this stuff. But people would come in and bring me gifts at the office. Like there's always that one or two bitches at the office that have to buy everybody something in the office. It's like, can you imagine the amount of money you're spending on people if you're literally buying every fucking person on the planet like something for Christmas? You don't fuck it. Like they must be in ridiculous debt doing that kind of shit all the time, right? So they would buy me this stuff, and then I would feel guilty that I wouldn't buy them anything, but I still wouldn't buy them anything. I'd be like, oh, you didn't have to do this, and I'm like, fuck, now I feel like I owe them something. Like, fuck them, and that would actually piss me off before I realized, hey, I don't need to own that, hey, thanks for that. Appreciate it. And then I don't owe you shit, right? That reminds me. So the chick that I'm going to have on the podcast on Monday, Nikki Corbett, she DM'd me yesterday because she's like, look at this fucking clown, right? This guy who's a podcaster in the space. And she's sort of, she talks a lot about her podcasting journey on social media because she's an up and comer. And some guy followed her and would comment on her stuff and all this kind of stuff. And she didn't follow him back. Right. And so he DMs her out of fucking nowhere, pissed off. He's like, hey, I follow you and I support all your content. And like, at least you could do is follow me back. And like, I can't believe you did, like, and she goes, what's up with this guy? And I'm like, fuck that guy. Like you don't owe him shit. Like, what are you? But that's kind of like what, people do. That's nice guy shit, right? Like I'm doing stuff to get stuff, right? And it's like, no one owes you anything. So if you're buying me a gift, expecting one in return, stop expecting it. Cause I don't fucking owe you anything. Okay. In fact, I'd much rather you not buy me something. One thing my grandma and my aunt was like this. My aunt was like, actually I had a bunch of aunts like this, where they would send out Christmas cards every year. Right. And they would do that expecting Christmas cards in return. And then I had multiple aunts make this announcement. Well, if you're not going to send me a Christmas card, I'm going to stop sending you a Christmas card. And I'm like, please do. I don't fucking like Christmas cards. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to send you a Christmas card because you sent me one. And most of them too were just, like they didn't even sign it. Like my aunt, my late aunt, the one who would get personal loans to buy Christmas presents, she would go and have like a batch of Christmas cards made, like custom ones. So it talked about like, it was personal with the family, and it would say, love the whatever family, I'm keeping them anonymous here, but, and she didn't even sign it. So she would every year buy a bunch of these in bulk and, stuff envelopes and mail them out to everybody. And it was like, so not personal anyway. And I'm like, fuck off. I don't fucking owe you a card. I don't even like cards. My mom used to love getting cards and taping them up on the wall and making these like, Christmas trees with the cards and all that kind of stuff. I'm not doing all that. In fact, if you give me a card, I'll read it and I'll go, oh, that was nice. That was a nice message. And I throw it right in the fucking trash. Okay. Like if you don't want me doing that, don't buy me a card. Okay. Don't buy me a fucking card. Paul, you're a fucking asshole. Definitely not a nice guy though, right? Abundance mindset. So the holidays are not scarce, okay? You do not need to fill them with stuff. The abundance comes from time and presence with your friends and family. That's what it was supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be a gathering of friends and family and enjoying company and taking a day off from work and enjoying and being grateful for what you have. Very much like Thanksgiving. That's why I said at the beginning, Christmas is like Thanksgiving with extra steps, right? Christmas is Thanksgiving with presents. Okay. All that shit's still going to be in the store. In fact, okay, you'll have Black Friday deals, right? And then you'll have the whole lead up to Christmas and, oh, there's only fucking 12 days, shopping days left till Christmas. You better fucking get it, right? And then on the day after Christmas, they've got to unload all this inventory that they have in the store. So there's usually even better sales after Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, so the shit's not going away. It's going to be there whether Christmas is here or not. You don't have to rush out and get all this stuff for Christmas, okay? In fact, it's probably best if you didn't. But you know what? You know what is not going to be here? The special deal that I have going on with the Passive Dread course, guys, because it is Black Friday and I do have a 24-hour sale going. It ends at midnight tonight. You better fucking act now, because if you don't, you're going to miss this opportunity. If you've been thinking about getting the Passive Dread course, you can take it for $100 off today only. Offer expires at midnight, guys. Dropped a link in the chat there. If you use Black Friday 2025 at checkout, you'll take $100 fucking off that course. Okay. Paul, did you just use a Black Friday fucking fear of loss on us? Well, I mean, yeah, but do you want to save $100 or do you not? I don't know. It's up to you. Anyway, let's talk about identity. If you see yourself as a man who provides stability, every spending decision must reflect that identity. Okay. Do you provide stability in your household? Well, if you do, then it's probably a good idea to not go into debt. Don't you think? Wouldn't it be a smart thing to do? If that's your identity, right? And maybe your identity is someone who's shitty with money and you just want to blow a bunch of shit on stuff you don't need, you know. I will say this though about the passive dread course. Don't you want to save your marriage? Isn't that a need? I don't know. For some guys, it's not. Paul, you're a fucking dick. Oh man. Let's talk about the danger of debt cycles. We're going to wrap up here soon. The danger of debt cycles. Debt, it's not just financial, okay? It affects your presence, your mood, your sleep, your confidence. A man who's stressed about bills cannot show up in his relationship with strength, okay? It will be wearing on your mind. It's one of the things that I talk about in Get Her to Fuck You Again, is taking back control of the finances. A lot of guys hand over the bills and all that kind of stuff to their wife, and they go, you know what, I'm going to go out and make the money. I'll let her manage it. Right. Well, oftentimes you're putting your wife in a masculine role for that. For one, she's going to stress about every fucking thing. She's going to spend money on shit she wants and then fucking limit your spending. And she'll be like, oh, you can't be spending money on that stuff. We don't have enough money for that. But meanwhile, she goes and buys like $500 worth of shoes and shit. And then when she comes to you and you're like, how much did you spend on this? She's like, let's not talk about how much I spent. Let's talk about how much I saved. Because that's how women say it, right? It's like, you spent $5,000 on this shit. She's like, yeah, but it could have been more. I got a deal, right? Like, that's how women do that shit. You will eliminate all that stuff if you take back control of the finances and say, hey, honey, don't worry about it. I got this. I want to take this off your plate. And then give her a fucking allowance. And don't let her go buy fucking outrageous shoes, okay? Debt cycles, right? So we talked about that. So you want to, if money is something that's stressing you out, it behooves you to take back control of that kind of stuff and get your finances in order. I talk about how to do that, everything I wish I knew when I was 18. And your strong frame shapes choices, okay? When your frame's solid, you see through all the marketing bullshit. You can walk past the sale because your identity is stronger than your impulses. I'm hoping that after today's episode, that when you guys are walking through the mall with your family or going to Target or Walmart or whatever you're doing to shop, because you're going to still shop, okay? I'm hoping that it just brings some awareness to some of this stuff, and you'll start seeing some of the marketing tactics, and you'll just make better decisions. Like some of the stuff, like Omega's doing, right? He's shopping the prices and he's doing the stuff strategically. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and especially if there's stuff that you need, right? But I'm hoping that it better shapes your decisions, and you're less likely to impulse buy on stuff that you'll never use. Okay. Like one of the biggest eye-opening things for me when it comes to consumer spending and all that kind of stuff is when I read Total Money Maker over by Dave Ramsey. And I realized, I opened my garage one day and it was just boxes and boxes of stuff that I hadn't used in years. And I was like, man, all that stuff used to be money. All that stuff used to be money. And I clearly don't use any of this stuff, because if I used it, it wouldn't be in a box in my garage for years. Right. And that's when it really clicked for me to stop buying stuff I don't necessarily need. Right. I saw brother Larry here in the thing saying he wants the R2-D2 Christmas display at Home Depot. I'm not familiar with that, but do you really need a fucking toy R2-D2? Do you really need professional wrestling belts in the background? That's a write-off, guys. Okay. It's a part of the podcast. Okay. It's a part of my set. I'm just fucking around. We were talking about write-offs in Wolfpack. We have a subgroup for money and finance in there. We have a guy who's a professional CPA in there. We got in the conversation of writing stuff off. You know what I mean? Because I think Brother Omega wants to buy some like really fancy monitors for work and gaming, really. But he's going to write it off as a work purchase because he needs it for work too. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, one of the things I learned from Aaron Clary was that because I'm a podcaster and I sometimes have to travel for podcasting, and it showcases my lifestyle as a fucking influencer, right? Is that I can, as long as I'm talking about it on social media and I can tie it into what it is that I teach guys, I can write off a lot of the travel expenses, not all of it, but some of it. Like when I went up, I rode my motorcycle up to Sturgis a couple of years ago to hang out with Clary. And he's like, this is street cred, man. This is street cred. And you need this for marketing purposes. I'm like, makes sense. And Clary's girl is an accountant. She was like, yeah, no, this is a marketing write-off. I'm like, God bless you. Oh man, I'm just gonna burn through these last one here. Okay, so mindset conditioning, holiday marketing works because most people run on old paradigms around scarcity and approval, and once you shift that paradigm, pressure tends to disappear. I want you guys to decide your spending plan before you go out shopping today, and once it's set, you need to follow with the same discipline that they use. Like if you were going to go to the gym, right? If you have a plan for the gym and you got a fitness plan, like do the same thing with your spending. Okay. And I want you to look back on past holiday seasons where you overspent. Okay. Where you overspent, you regretted it and swore you'd never do that again. Okay. That type of pattern that ends with having strong mental frame when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I want to leave you with this so we can wrap up here. But Black Friday is a chance to show your strength, not participate in consumerism chaos. Okay. If you control your money, you control your home. And if you control your home, you're going to control the rest of your life. Cool. Cool. All right. Now go out and buy a bunch of shit and get into a fist fight over a fucking, 80-inch fucking LCD screen. TV. What's Omega say here? He says, yeah, I'm working with my CPA to figure out the best way to write off those monitors when I get them, whether it's one time or depreciate them. I'll tell you what I do. Okay. Cause you can do that. You can, what's it called? Amortize, something like that, right? Over a period of years, like, hey, this monitor is good for the next 5 years. But I've always just said, no, just do it all at once. Just calculate that schedule and just do it all at once. It's fucking better that way. You get more bang for your buck, in my opinion, but consult your CPA. Oh, Erkin says, hold on. It was there. There we go. If I had the same discipline that I had in shopping and other areas, I could have been a billionaire, right? You know what I mean? Oh, wait. You didn't read out my super chat. I'm not disappointed, just angry. Oh, where is it? I don't see it. I don't see your super chat, bro. Did you send it before the show? One shitty thing. I'm scrolling up here. I'm not seeing it. Okay, I see Omega, $1.99. I'm going down through this. One thing that I don't like about Restream is versus StreamYard. So if some of you guys know this, I switched streaming services from StreamYard to Restream like this month. And Restream used to organize the super chats in a separate tab, and it was much easier to not miss them. But I'm not seeing it here, dude. Did you send it before the show? Because I'm not seeing it, but I'll look on the back end, and if I see it there, I'll give you a shout out on social media, okay? Oh, yeah, before he started. Okay, yeah, guys, just a heads up. One thing that Nurse Chick and I have noticed, because Nurse Chick, she gets up crazy early in the morning, and a lot of times she's busy or whatever. So what she'll do is, like, before the show starts, she'll say, hey, good morning, gentlemen, and then go to work or go do what she needs to do or go back to bed or something like that. But she wants to show support, so she'll comment that early in the morning and be the first one in the chat. I used to be able to see that shit on StreamYard. I don't see, until I start the show, I don't see your chat. So don't send super chats before the show starts. But Kamal, I'll look on the back end and I'll screenshot that shit and I'll give you a shout out on social media. Okay. All right, guys, that's all I got. Tune into the podcast on Monday. It's pre-recorded. I interviewed Nikki Corbett. She's the host of the Scarlet Edit podcast. She had me on a few months back, and I thought I'd return the favor. Her story is interesting because she was in a relationship with a married man for 5 years. And so I thought it'd be good for you guys to see what factors caused her to fall for a man like that. And if you're expecting red meat and me calling her out, that's not what we do here. We don't do that here. If you want that kind of shit, go watch fucking Fresh and Fit or something, okay? But you can learn a lot about human motivation and drive when you don't judge someone and just let them talk, okay? It's scheduled as a premiere, so we can all hang out in the chat, and it's good. It's a pretty fun conversation, okay? Otherwise, guys, grab the Dread course. Okay. Black Friday 2025 will get you $100 off. And also the new book, Keep Your Bitch, dropped on Amazon today. So get that. Okay. And unlike a bogus Hickory farm pack that you would buy for someone just to say you got them something, this book might actually change your life. Okay. So it's well worth it. That's all we got, guys. If you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, hit those notifications. We will see you guys on, hold on. There we go. We will see you guys on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.